Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem HaKakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who are the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who are suffering under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalio, and the famine, it is sure and it is coming. This is Luke 21 and verse 10. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines, and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be. Salaki, I'll read it again. And fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. All right, so plainly, we're in this period of time. All right, and all of the signs are there. All right, the earthquakes are there. There's war. All right, and the number of pestilences that have been coming up in all of these different countries around the world to, the extreme level that, they're at. For example, the Ebola in Africa, the pestilences are up and about, and they will intensify where people are going to be dying en masse. But don't worry, it's all cooking, all right? The judgments of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. All right, the famine is sure. All right, as the prophecies of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, are sure. Okay, so now the famines are beckoning, and you can see here just by these few articles or panels that I have up. Oh, look at the time. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. All right, you can see here. United Nations agency warns Hormuz block could trigger global food crisis. All right, so, we've been hearing about this since the war began back in, I think it was February, right? But we're still in this situation. And the situation isn't something that's going to just suddenly end, because it is now the time of the Lord's prophecies, all right, being fulfilled. And all of these things that are happening are leading up to the mark of the beast, which is the microchip. So as you can see, it says here 4 days ago in a statement, the agency said the Hormuz blockage was not a temporary shipping disruption, but the beginning of a systematic all right, so I'll just read. I guess that was just a part of the excerpt of the article. It looks short, so I'll read it. Rome, Italy. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization warned Wednesday that the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz could trigger a severe global food price crisis in the coming months. Hormuz accounted for a fifth of global oil shipping before the United States, US, and Israel launched strikes against Iran, which prompted Tehran to effectively shut down the strait to tanker and cargo traffic. A third of the world's fertilizer supply also passed through the strait before the war, and officials have warned that farmers could face shortages during the summer growing season. It also called for countries to avoid export restrictions on energy and fertilizers, and to exempt food aid from trade curbs. All right. It warned a full global food crisis could come within 6 to 12 months. The shock is unfolding in stages: energy, fertilizer, seeds, lower yields, commodity price increases, then food inflation, it said. The FAO said its global food price index had risen for 3 consecutive months since the start of the conflict. All right, so we know that's what's going on, right? And this warning has been out there since the strait has been closed. Here in America, local food pantries have empty shelves as Midwest Food Bank deals with food shortage. So they have food shortages over there in the Midwest in America. And America is what? Babylon the Great. And by the way, the food shortages and the famine that's coming in and everything is all by design. Now, firstly, we know that Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua is in full and absolute control, right? And so the Lord is controlling Esau, the so-called white men, the ones who are in rulership today, to have their ruling class, or the wicked elite of Esau, Edom, the elite bankers, to orchestrate this entire global shutdown, the famine, right? And using their weapon technology that the Lord has given them to do all sorts of things to bring great chaos and calamity to the world, right? It is all by design. It's all orchestrated. It's all intentional. All right, so with the narratives and the stories that you see out there, it's a very high level of deception, because they're telling the world that X, Y, and Z is happening because of whatever, but that's not the true narrative, because they're the ones who are really tearing everything down and bringing in these things. So it's just pure deception, and it's they're the devil the Bible speaks of, right? The deceiver. Okay, that's what Esau is. Okay, and in Revelation 6 and verse 8 it says, "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse," talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, "and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth," which is talking about America, "to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth," right? And as it says, that sat on him was death, and hell followed with him, and hell being in a negative condition of being in. All right, it can also mean the ground. Okay, so this is what is coming, man, and they're bringing it, and they're bringing it in real hot. All right, so you can see food shortages in America, and you see here 2 days ago as well from MSN, empty shelves. We've never seen before. Food pantry issues, urgent plea, right? So it's empty shelves we've never seen before. And this is what we're seeing a lot, right? In these last and final days of Esau's rulership. Things that are deemed unprecedented, things that we've never seen before, That's just what it is, all right? And so what else is there? I brought up the article, but I think the headline of the article is enough. And with all of this going on, right, let's go to this here.
Substack.
Oh boy.
This is a Substack post from this guy named
Sometimes it's funny
Mark
because
A.
If you don't have a Facebook account, which I don't have, sometimes they just block you out from seeing posts. But thankfully I'm able to see this one. So this one is saying 8 weeks to empty shelves, 60 days to famine. And so we received news that earlier this month, the month of May 2026, that California received its last shipping of fuel, which means that they're saying that in the next, and they said that something like in 6 weeks, that there will be big trouble, all right? And then even just some extra side information, a state of emergency was declared in California, all right, due to some, I think, chemical plant or something, and then there's some looters issue and all kinds of stuff. It's just pure crisis everywhere, all around the world, right? And it's all intentional, man, okay? To put the people in great distress and sorrows, and then to offer them a solution out of their sorrows and their distress, and that solution is going to come in the form of the microchip, which is a mark of the beast. So it says 8 weeks to empty shelves, 60 days to famine. A new report.
Shyrock. And it's his post. He says it's called 8 weeks to empty shelves, 60 days to famine. It says what caused it and what you need to do immediately. So this is a really long article, and I'm not going to bore you through reading through this really, really long article. What I did, though, is I put together a summary of it. So I'll be going over a summary of this article because it's actually a really, really good article that I think is worth paying attention to. But before I showed you my summary, I first wanted just to give credit to this guy, Mark A. Shyrock. And his Substack is markashyrock.substack.com. So if you want to subscribe to him or support him in whatever way you want to, I just want to give him credit for putting together this information because he did a really, really good job of pulling together all this information. So getting into this is a kind of an overview, okay, of this guy's article. And so, okay, what does this mean, right? Okay, so let's kind of break it down. So basically, it's a data verified warning that the United States runs out of usable oil by July 4th of this year, that Europe runs out this month, and that diesel runs out first. And they basically explain how the food system runs on diesel. So he's got a lot of sources, a lot of research behind this. So the bottom line, he says, this is not a price crisis anymore. It is a physical shortage, a point where fuel stops being available at any price because there's none left to sell. Okay, so looking at the step, okay, what happened, right? So as we all...
Right, and the thing is that the prices and everything are going to get worse because they are intentionally tearing down the economy, all right, because they're resetting everything. It's a global reset. It's a part of their NWO, right? They're resetting to this fourth industrial revolution, this digital age, which really it is just Esau's next level slavery system that he's ushering in. And with this slavery system, he intends to brand his slaves, mark his slaves with that microchip, right? And then to put them, the slaves, in these 15-minute cities, these smart cities, right, to harbor them, okay? So, you know, the economy is going to crash and there is going to be price increases more and hyperinflation and everything, but it is true. With the price increases that are there, we're actually at a point where the shortages are starting to roll in as well. And I just provided one article with that. And when you look at, you know, what's going on in the world in various different places, you will see that the people are starting to feel food shortages. All right. Cuba, for example, is, I'd say, ahead. Of course, you know, you have like Gaza and Palestine and the situation they're dealing with. But, you know, you can really take a look at Cuba for recent stages of how they have reached to the point where the people, even the government resources of food, I forget what it's called, they don't have any, right? People in Cuba, they have to rely on it because there's just barely any food. And when they go to those, that government resource, it's first come, first serve because there's just not enough to feed people. You know, in Cuba right now, our people, which, you know, it's predominantly of the tribe of Manasseh, right? It is, well, in Cuba, the Cubans themselves are the tribe of Manasseh, right? But the place is predominantly of the tribe, as, you know, you can have other tribes dwelling there, right? But our people are suffering, man, and you have people there who, they're barely surviving. They're eating only once a day, and it's not an issue of price, but an issue of shortages. Okay, so Ezekiel 4 verse 16, moreover he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I'll break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. All right, so that is rationing, right?
As we all know, February 28th, the U.S. and Israel launched strikes against Iran that killed their leader. Iran retaliated by closing the Strait of Hormuz, the choke point that carried 20% of global oil. So for 2 months, the world coasted on tankers already at sea. That floating buffer kept prices high but stable and kept fuel flowing. It masked the full scale of what was happening, right? And this is how these things oftentimes work, where you'll see an event happen and you'll think, oh.
In other words, Esau, who has orchestrated all of this, has let the people know that, yeah, fertilizer issue, fuel crisis issue, state of emergency declared here, state of emergency declared there. But guess what? Even though they've declared certain things and those things sound horrible and extreme, it's actually even more worse than it appears. You see? So, you see, the thing is that when these judgments from the Lord start to roll in very heavily, as it says that the plagues draw nine are not slacking, 2nd Ezra 16, right? It's going to be hitting back to back to back to back. It's going to be full force. It's going to be, like a tsunami, all right? And you can see it all brewing, like the pot is boiling right now, and the water is about to overflow, right? That's the point where we're hitting.
Okay, that event happened, yet a few weeks later, there's still groceries. A few weeks later, or a month or two later, there's still oil at the pump. Maybe the gas is more expensive, but you can still go and fuel your car, or buy heating oil for your home, or whatever it is. But the thing is, though, is that oftentimes it's because there's a carryover, right? So it's not like everything is just instantly on demand. So there's often a process before the reality of a certain situation actually affects your daily life in a very real way. So what he's saying here, he says 2 months to tank bottom. So look at the timeline here. Okay, going back to February 28th, okay, we strike Iran. March 4th, Iran formally declares that the Hormuz is closed. So April 28th, UAE leaves OPEC, right? The biggest cartel withdrawal in the 65, the new Corella, 8 weeks out. So tank.
All right. So his video can be found here. Type in 8 weeks to empty shelves. You can find it on Facebook. All right. Because more information to just bring out, right? Because with all of these issues at hand, right? That fertilizer issue, the fuel issue, and everything, we have this very powerful weather system that is apparently coming in. And the warning has gone out, right, regarding it. They've been speaking about it for some time now. I know that the information here is showing recently, but I know it's been some time they've been talking about this El Nino, but now it's reached the point where, see, like a month. So it's gotten to the point now where they're saying that, yeah, it's sure to come, because before it was like, oh, a warning, but now they're saying it's coming, right? And this El Nino, as you can see here, what a super El Nino means for Jamaica, right? Like where I'm at. A super El Nino means less rainfall, higher temperatures, and potential drought in Jamaica, okay? Impacting water supply, and obviously impacting agriculture. And so they're saying that this El Nino thing can last up to next year, February. And so basically we'll just be in it. And they're also saying that while it can reduce hurricanes, it's not guaranteed to reduce the frequency of them. So we can still get hit with hurricanes during this very intense drought that's going to bring all of this hell, distress, and chaos to the Caribbean, right? Caribbean and South America. And this thing is actually going to be affecting North America too, right? So over here in this part of the world, right, from North America, South America, and the Caribbean, all right, it looks like we're going to be feeling this. And it appears to affect different places differently. Like in Jamaica, it will be like a drought situation, but I think I read like if it hits America, that it will be a lot of rain that they'd get. But imagine, look at all of the issues that are coming in, right? Look at it all. The drought, with a drought coming in, agriculture and water issues, the fertilizer issue, the fuel issues. I mean, it's just chaos upon chaos upon chaos, building upon each other. And these things, it's a polycrisis, right? One thing happens and then it triggers another thing, and then it triggers another thing, and then the first thing triggers another thing, and then that triggers another thing, and then you still have the other branch of the other issues happening. It's just pure chaos, and it is by design. All right, so you can see all of these things. So can you imagine the heat? because they're saying that it's going to be really hot too. So can you imagine the heat with water issues and fuel issues, as in potentially getting to the point, right, where they're saying, okay, well, we have to conserve no light. They turn off the light for a specific period of time in the night or something. The times that we're in, things are going to become very extreme, right? So it's going to be brutal, man. But you see, the thing is, the elect of the nation of Israel will be completely fine, right? Completely fine. These judgments are set for the wicked unbelieving of our people. Okay, so all of these things, more reports will be coming out as, we perhaps get closer to this climate phenomenon, right? The threat this year of the El Nino climate phenomenon from the Havana Times. 82%, which means it's coming. Let's be real. And I will just say this, I wouldn't be surprised if Esau has technology to be able to push this thing out. You know what I'm saying? Or juice it up or whatever. So it's sure, man, look at this, 82%. Well, not sure, 82% of 100. There's still, the 18% chance that, but the times that we're in speaks very loudly. And look at this. The latest update from the Climate Center, published on May 14, 2026, indicates 82% probability of El Nino will emerge between May and July 2026, and a 96% probability that it will persist through February 2027. You see? Death and hell and chaos, man. Tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. The prophet Ezra said it, man. Woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? All right, so severe droughts. See, intense rainfall in some regions and severe drought in others. And a place like Jamaica will be very, very through with this, because first of all, only 10 to 20% of the food is self-made in the country. About 80% is imported, right? And then what happens with this whole war situation? Apart from one of the ramifications of it is that with the more fuel issues, the ships will stop coming with the food, right? And then compounded with the El Nino and the drought and the water issues, the crops won't grow. So the famine, you can see how it can come in regarding Jamaica, right? But you Israelites, man, y'all are about to perish from it. And y'all are about to turn to cannibalism. This is Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away stricken through for want of fruit of the field. Okay? So, it's better to perish of the sword than of hunger. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So they were their meat. The children were their meat. Okay? And the word sodden here at H1310, bashal, to cook, boil, bake, roast, and ripen. So they cooked their children, right? Their own children. That's what it's saying. The women have cooked their own children. The women have baked their own children. The women have boiled their own children. The women have roasted their own children. Okay? They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. And we're in Jacob's trouble, and this is a time like never before upon us as a nation. So all of the things that you read about that have happened to the Israelites, it's all going to be the same type of judgments and worse. Because the Lord lets us know this is going to be the worst time yet. So our people have faced this and shall face it again. So that's what it is, man. With that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem HaKadosh. Shalom.